Hey everybody, I want to welcome you all to a new episode of the Sports with Mattymo Podcast. And boy, guys, we got a really exciting episode today. Today, we're going to be talking about the TBL and the BSL. And I'm so happy to have my guest on the show with me tonight. He is a former NBA player for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he's currently the president of the TBL, aka the Basketball League, and the new formed BSL, the Basketball Super League. Please welcome Dave Magley. How are you doing today?
Yeah, Matthew, I'm excited to be on. I appreciate you working with my schedule. I was in Atlanta this morning and flew to Kansas City and drove to Indiana, which is about a 8-10 hour drive, and literally got off the road. I'm at my daughter's home because I had left one of my cars here because I had to pick my wife up in Kansas City and just kind of moving and grinding.
Well, that's the life of basketball and also hockey. I know they have the combine there today, I think, for the TBL.
Yeah, we had one in Atlanta yesterday. It was a great results, really good talent, really great athletes. It was amazing how bouncy some of these kids were. They were really athletic.
See, that's what I love about the TBL. I find it's like a league where it gets the player ready for like the G League or the NBA. That's how I see it, like a developmental league.
Yeah, it really is designed. One of the differences between the two leagues is we use the term the TBL is a showcase league. Kids get in and they get out and they go to the best levels in the world. I mean, we have guys playing all over the world in every major country, including in the NBA and in the G League. So that's been fabulous. BSL, on the other hand, is a longer season, pays a little bit better. So they'll often be more of a destination league. People will come and they'll play there multiple years because it's a great fit for them and it fits their family life. So we think it's going to be, two different purposes, a lot like the European Premier Soccer League. There's the higher level and then the lower level. Like Ryan Reynolds bought a lower level, mid level European soccer team, and then they got promoted because someone else got relegated. Well, we have that ability with us having two leagues now, one a little bit above the other one, where we can promote TBL teams into it and relegate BSL teams into a level that is a better fit for them.
Yeah, and also I heard there's a new team coming into BSL. I mean the TBL. I saw a lot of this on Instagram. I think they're called the Los Angeles Unite.
Yeah, yeah, they're fun. they're they're really fun. They're great colors, great ownership, great energy. They're funded well. Their motivation is to impact lives, so I really like what they do. They have a really good commitment to do things the right way. They're actually coming to Canada to play. They want to come play some games and be against the BSL team. So they're going to get on a plane and come up and play some games next year. So it's going to be fun to see them play.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, obviously, the team I'm more excited about. Like, obviously, I follow the Montreal Tundras. I go to their games. Ever since I went to the first game last year, I just fell in love with the league, and it was good to have like basketball back. Especially now we face American teams, but we're facing more Canadian teams this season.
Yeah, we think that's exciting for you. We think that you know, part of the reason why we started with TBL for Tundra was they really wanted to bring American teams to Montreal. They thought that would be something that people would enjoy and the draw would be good. But a chance to bring in teams like the London Lightning, who's a 6-time champion in the NBL Canada, and Windsor Express, who's a 2-time champion, and the the Sudbury Five,
Yeah.
draw 2,800 fans a game. You've got the KW Titans are growing at a really nice pace. They've had a really good new ownership group last year that's jazzed them up some, and then the Newfoundland Rogues from the TBL that came up. It's going to be a very competitive league. I don't know who to pick on any as far as who's a favorite because they're all, there's a lot of juice. There's a lot of good talent, a lot of great venues. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Exactly. And actually, on one of my road trips, because usually I travel for the Laval Rocket, and basically I know Montreal Tundras are playing in Kitchener on Sunday, and I'm in Belleville Friday, Saturday, I was thinking maybe after the Saturday game, I'm gonna go to Toronto, take my friends from Toronto, go see the Tundras play in Kitchener on the Sunday afternoon.
Well, that'd be a lot of fun. I mean, they do a nice job. They're entertaining. They've got a good brand. They've got it's a beautiful venue. The Odd is an amazing gym arena that they play in, and great jumbotron. It's just a lot of things they do very, very good.
You know what it reminds me of, that arena? Like a mini version of the Garden in Toronto. It just reminds me of that, the inside.
Yeah, no, that's a good feel. I actually played in the Garden back when I was in the NBA against Dr. J in an exhibition game, and it was really cool. It was Maple Leaf Gardens was a really neat place, and it was way before the Raptors came in, and we had brought pro basketball up to see what it would look like. You know, it's funny. The very first NBA game ever was in Toronto.
Exactly.
The New York Knicks played against the Toronto team because a lot of those initial teams were owned by hockey owners, and it was one of the things that they had. So there's such a rich basketball tradition in Canada with Dr. Naismith, and there's more NBA players that come out of Canada than any other country besides the U.S. That basketball is the most popular participation sport, largely because hockey's so expensive. I mean, people still love hockey. That's nothing. Never downgrade that or discount that, but there's different economics. There's a fairly liberal immigration policy. You've got a lot of Africans and Jamaicans and wonderful track athletes and soccer athletes that come in to your country and find out about basketball and fall in love with it. And it's a sport that everyone can afford to play. So
exactly.
You see these wonderful Jamal Murray from Kitchener-Waterloo and Andrew Wiggins from Toronto, and you go through the list of guys. I think there's 6 or 7 guys from Montreal that are playing in the NBA.
Yeah, when they have those exhibition games in the NBA Montreal, they always sell out like quick. Like I even called the NBA because I wanted to go to the game, but I had a hurt knee, so I ended up not going. I asked him how much was courtside for preseason. 1,600 US center courtside for preseason.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how. It's crazy.
That's something. Well, that's just the sport has grown so much, and the thing we love about the Tundra is, Juan and his backers' vision is all about community. It's all about diversity. When you walk into a Tundra game, you see all walks of life. Everybody's welcome. They're enjoying each other's company. The entertainment is varied. It's culturally different every game. Sometimes there might be some people that are there from India that are doing Punjabi dances, and then the next time there might be rappers that are there, and then there can be some Hispanic. I mean, because Montreal is an incredibly diverse city, it's great that the people that run that organization embrace it like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I find Montreal does have a big basketball culture. Even though we don't have an NBA team, we got 2 teams. Also, the league, the Canadian Elite Basketball League, that I will probably talk to you about later. Because I want to know the comparisons of that league compared to the TBL and the BSL as well. Because I know in the Canadian Elite League, they do 10-minute quarters, and then the BSL and the TBL is real everything, 12 minutes, 24 shot clock, all authentic rules of the NBA.
They play FIBA rules, and they have something called an elam ending, which is at a certain point they stop the game and they create an artificial end to the game by having a number that they can all go to, so the clock stops, and then you go to, I don't know if it's 10, 12 points, whatever it is above the leader at that time. And for them, they believe that creates excitement. The FIBA thing gets them to be able to participate in some stuff which looks good. They do a wonderful job marketing their brand.
Yeah,
they do a good job with their marketing all the way around. I mean, I'm impressed by the job they do. We're different. We're a pro league in that we want to play NBA pro. I mean, Canada's the one place that has one NBA team, so everybody's a Toronto Raptors fan. So they
Exactly.
are. I mean, when the Raptors won the championship, everywhere from Vancouver to Newfoundland, outdoors in the cold were jumbotrons up outside of buildings where they were watching Raptor games. It
I
was
remember
amazing,
that.
and because of that, they want to see an NBA brand. So, from our opinion, we want an NBA level brand. So we want 12-minute quarters. We want NBA rules.
Yeah.
Although we like the FIBA offensive defensive goaltending rule. So we leave that in our rules. So if you can take the ball off the rim once it hits it, it's live, knock it off or dunk it back in. It'll make for good excitement. But that's the major difference. We play uh, really they're complementary seasons. There's no reason both of us couldn't do well because we were playing from December through May, and they're playing from late May through September, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a chance that you're one of the few markets where there's two teams. But if you're a basketball fan, you can watch a lot of pro basketball around the time. We don't have a Canadian limit. They do. They want to have a minimum of I think
Yeah.
6 or 7 Canadians. Uh,
Yeah. True.
we believe our logic is we believe that the fans want to see the best players available, and if those are Canadians, there'll be some teams that will have 12 Canadians. I mean, that's just the way it'll be. There'll be a lot of Canadians on the Montreal team because you can get a lot of great local talent there. Some other teams there might be 7 Americans and 5 Canadians. It really doesn't matter to us, nor do we think to the fans because the fans want to see it. We will, when you throw TBL in there, we will end up being a fairly significant player in Canada because between the two brands, BSL and TBL, we eventually think there's going to be 24 to 30 teams in Canada that will either be BSL or TBL. So we
Wow.
will be playing Canadian pro basketball with the fan bases, and Canadians will have a chance to play because there's just, we play with 12 guys. I think they have 10. So, when you look at that, when there's 24 teams, all of a sudden you're looking at 248 players that are able to play pro basketball. There's going to be a good percentage of those will be Canadian. So we think we'll spread the game of basketball even greater the way we're trying to do it. But my goodness, they do a wonderful job in a lot of things they do. And I've got a lot of respect for the way they do it.
And also, do you ever see like expansion to the Caribbean area? Because like the Bahamas. I've been talking about this with Juan before. Like
You know what? Yeah, I'm sure Juan would love that. Juan would love to have it. They were warm. Juan's family's originally from the DR, so he would love to go down south there. He loves that stuff. But
I love it too.
you know, yeah, I mean, we've been in talks with potential Mexican leagues to join. We've looked at some Caribbean countries. The key there, when you have to fly, teams need to come in with travel subsidies.
True.
So if you want to join our league, if Hawaii wants to be in our league,
Oh,
great.
yeah.
But you've got to pay for the flights for the teams to come out there because
Yeah.
the logic is they don't have to pay now. So adding them into our league only adds cost to our teams. So you have now, like if you went to the Grand Caymans, the interesting thing about those smaller island countries, because there's so few people, instead of being 6 degrees of separation, you're probably 3 degrees. Probably the guy that runs the venue is, the brother's cousin from the premier or the president, who then can go to Grand Cayman Airways and say, "Hey, we want this team here and here, and we're gonna make certain by giving the league, 400 free trips, round trips. Let's make certain we do this the right way." Now, that's a game changer, and those are things that would allow us to put teams in islands and like that. And I think that's in the long run with both of our leagues options that we'll have.
Yeah, because I think like in the Bahamas would be a great place because you got a lot of players coming out from the Bahamas in the
Oh
NBA.
yeah,
Tons.
yeah. You could get it. You could again. There's enough athletes and talent that you can get the majority of your players from right there, and
Yeah.
so you don't have to fly people in to play on your team. You don't have to pay for their housing. Although if they did, there's so many resorts and things that I'm certain they could get the housing. So there's a lot to work with there. We're excited for BSL. We're going to have a television announcement coming up in the next week or two. but will give us 2 games of the week on a pretty significant brand throughout the world. It'll cover all of our playoff games as long as there's no conflict in scheduling. And it'll be a win for TBL because TBL will also, at the end of, since BSL ends a month before TBL playoffs, they want to keep it going, so they'll also broadcast our TBL playoffs. Yeah. So this network's going to be a big win for us, and we're excited about that.
Also, so I heard you got in TBL, you got a lot of teams that have history. Like, for example, the Albany Patrons. I find they probably have the most history in the whole league. With the name.
They have the most history in North American pro basketball outside of the NBA, because the CBA, the league that the Patroons came out of, was born into, is actually older than the NBA. It was started before the NBA. It was started as a regional league. It was initially called the Eastern League because all the teams were in the East. And then they put a team in Anchorage, Alaska, and they said, well, it doesn't make sense to have an Eastern League and have a team in Anchorage, Alaska, so they changed it to the Continental Basketball Association. Yep. Where they play, the Washington Avenue Armory, it feels like Jake LaMotta should be fighting Sugar Ray Robinson in 1952 with smoke in the air and beer on the floor. It's got that old venue flavor when you walk in. It's really a cool building. It's on the historic register. I think it was built in like
I have it right here. It's built
like
1890 actually.
I said 1890. Yeah, I mean, shame on me. There's a thing that says that on the side of the building. I should have remembered that. But it's a really, Phil Jackson coached there, George Karl coached there, Bill Musselman coached there.
You played there.
I played there. That's one of the least impressive things for it. But I mean, they've had great pros. Tony Campbell. We had in our league, we had Smush Parker, Jamario Moon, Xavier Moon, who's playing in the NBA. We've had Edwin Ubelis, who played in the NBA. All those guys that played in Patroon uniforms already, and they're always very good. Great fans. Their fans are really into it. A great ownership group, the T Market owners. Sam Rebecca do a wonderful job, and the good mascots, and the venue's very. The people that run the venue are very supportive. So it's a neat relationship we have with Albany.
Yeah. So basically, do you ever see like expansion? I heard there's like talks of expanding to the Maritimes in the
I mean, I'm at the point where tomorrow I'm trying to see what my schedule looks like. I've got really good interest in Bathurst, St. John, New Brunswick, Moncton, New Brunswick, all very, very good. And then, I'm trying to get. There's someone to show good interest in possibly Dartmouth, which is up by Halifax. And if I could get those 4, I would pull the trigger for TBL right now with them. Have a good. I know I could put at least 1 team in PEI, maybe 2, the next year. Cape Breton will come back, and I think we could have a really nice conference there. Now that doesn't mean that a couple of those teams wouldn't gravitate to BSL, and that would be a nice compliment for us. So, the reason why they would go TBL this year is because we're out of time to add anybody for BSL because we're scheduled and we got to get going. So. But it would get a chance to get them back in, and they had great fan bases. I mean, Moncton is St. John. I mean, this is a really cool place, and they've got a great venue. St. John does. Bathurst is there was another league that played last year, and they did a pretty. Halifax is a great market. I mean, Halifax is one of the best college markets in Canada. They hold their tour every year, and they back that place. So, I think that there's an NBA preseason game or a college exhibition that's going to Moncton, and it's sold out already. And that's a 12,000 seat venue, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I remember I watched this video speaking about U Sports. I remember when Duke came to Montreal to play an exhibition game, Carleton wanted to play Duke, but Duke didn't want to play Carleton because, Carleton, they run a system where they could actually compete with the top NCAA D1 schools. And Duke was scared to play Carleton. I never knew about
Yeah,
that back then.
I think that I think his name was Dave Smart was the coach there,
Yep, exactly.
and won a lot of championships. I mean, he was winning national championships 40. I mean, it wasn't even close. He was beating these teams so bad, and he had a heck of a program going. And I know they've continued since he's left. I left before he left, but I was very aware of how good a job Carlton did. And quite frankly, for my time in the NBL Canada, we had a lot of wonderful guys that came from the CIS, and it was just a great level of basketball. There's a lot of talented young men playing in those Canadian collegiate leagues, university, and colleges.
So basically, like, is there any talks like of Rochester getting a team? Because I know Rochester used to have NBA. They had the Razor Sharks a couple of years ago there. And I think Rochester is like one of the best markets to have a team, in my opinion.
I think Rochester, Buffalo would both be good markets.
Yeah.
Erie, Pennsylvania. Erie was a great G League market for years, and they no longer have a team. And
Exactly.
those are three that we're targeting in the U.S. that could all be BSL markets. Rochester specifically plays in a place called the Blue Cross Blue Shield Arena.
Going there
Beautiful.
actually Friday.
Yeah, I'd heard a story, and I don't know if this is urban myth, but they won the NBA World Championship, and then they built that arena. And they were so excited about the ice part of the arena, they wanted to host the Ice Capades and be the primary spot for the Ice Capades. And I think the Ice Capades were in Boston at the time. And they traded the first pick of the NBA draft for the rights to the Ice Capades. And that first draft pick was a guy named Bill Russell that would go on to. And 3 years later, they were moved to Cincinnati. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but the person that told me that story, if that's true, that's the first time I'd heard that, is a great sports story to hear that someone would, I mean, not the Ice Capades isn't wonderful, but my goodness, Bill Russell, he's a generational talent.
Exactly. Like I think they should retire his number around the league. Ever since his passing.
Yeah, I think he was he won championships as a coach, player coach. He won it at a time when Boston wasn't the most friendly to African Americans, and he fought through that and did a lot of really great things. And
yeah,
you have to respect what he did as a person, for social justice as well as on the court. He was something special.
exactly. Like that's what I love about basketball. Like it brings all the cultures together. Like nowadays, since we saw like stuff during COVID, like I just love it a lot. And also
But
like
funny though, where you're at our press conference for the Tundra, my wife told the story about Jackie Robinson.
yeah.
And Jackie Robinson, played his minor league ball in Montreal.
Yeah.
And his wife, I think her name's Rachel Robinson, said that Jackie felt at home more in Montreal than any place he ever lived. That was the one area that he lived in sport where he was treated as an equal. And you realize that there's something really unique about Canada in general, but Montreal has always been known as a very accepting, embracing community. And that's something that we're excited to be a part of that Montreal family because of that.
Exactly. Like I have a lot of friends who are multicultural. Like I have a lot of African American friends. Like one of my good friends, she's African American, and I respect the culture. I love learning the history actually of it, and like every country, and like for example, the new league in Africa, the Basketball Africa League. I like watching that league, especially the Cape Town Tigers. I actually know the coach of the team, and I even have the hoodie. I think the Basketball African League hoodie I have in my room, and I'm gonna wear it to a game. I'm going to Tundras.
One of your players from the Tundra, Dave Miller, went down to that league during our season and dominated it. He was 6 guard and had just a great about a month period. I mean, he was just one of the best players. Highlights every game, triple doubles, just played incredible. And he had a great experience there. I just saw him a few weeks ago in Charlotte, and he was really happy with the whole experience from Montreal to going to Africa. It was really wonderful.
It's amazing. Like all these leagues around the world, they all are different in its unique ways. Every single league, like compared to Africa,
Well,
Asia.
I would argue that our leagues, BSL, TBL, and probably CEBL, I haven't watched enough of their play to honestly make this statement, but I would assume the basketball piece of our three leagues would compete with any league in the world.
Oh,
Partly because we have so many North Americans. Unlike other countries, like when I played in Belgium, there was a big difference between the 2 Americans and the 10 Belgian players. We were paid more. We had played at a higher level. We were thought to be something different. Today, I defy the average fan to tell me who's American and who's Canadian in any of our three leagues. That you can look at any of those three leagues and say who's the best players based on their nationality. And unless you knew that, there's no way to tell, because Canada is equally as strong as at the highest level. We have a lot more people and a lot more people playing basketball. So middle to lower level, we probably have a lot better talent. But the highest level, the Canadians are, it's hard to argue Jamal Murray is not one of the best players in the world. And, I was at an academy he was at for a while in Orangeville, Ontario, and I saw him work at firsthand. And he earns all of the credit he gets, because that's not lucky. He put the work in.
Yeah, like I know, like they were doing a lot of talks in Montreal, like Montreal wanting to get an NBA team. I don't want to spoil anyone's party, but I don't think it will work. But I wish Montreal did get an NBA team. I think Vancouver should get a team back. Winnipeg actually did well in the Canadian Elite League with their attendance. They're drawing like 10,000, 8,000 fans a game. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think that I think it can work in Montreal. I think it'd be tough to get him back because the NBA moves so slow. They just awarded Seattle and Vegas, and they're not going to rush in behind to put more teams up anytime soon. So we're probably 8-10 years away from those next calls. But Vancouver would do well with it. Knowing how to market today is so much different than when the Grizzlies were there. It's just such a different world than when they had them the first time. And if somebody brought a team to Montreal, listen, if it can work in Oklahoma City, there's no reason it wouldn't work wonderfully in Montreal. That's a cosmopolitan, wonderful city with great venues, and there's no reason it couldn't work there. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime real soon, either
Same.
way.
I strongly agree with you on that one. Like nowadays, you got so much, even though the dollar is not that great in Canada, there's so many ways to market a team differently than in the 90s, the early 90s. Because with all the technology, the sponsorships, the TV deals, it helps the team finance.
Well, it's funny, I don't follow a lot of NBA teams on social media. I've got so much on my social media, but I follow the Pistons because of Monty Williams is a family friend, the coach of the Pistons. Used to follow the Suns when he was there. He's such a great person. And I follow Sacramento because Chance Comanche, one of our players, plays there. I follow the Clippers because Xavier Moon, one of our players, plays there. And I follow the Oklahoma City Thunder a lot because Lindy Waters plays there from our league. And Lindy's been there, this is his third year. So I get all the news feeds, and every game they show these guys walking in slow motion and what clothes they're wearing to the game. You see them in the Lindy in particular is Native American, and he's incredible in the community. He's so gracious, and he's such a good young man. They love him being in the community. But then you watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and you watch his highlight clips, and it might be 48 seconds on an Instagram reel, things that didn't exist when we played 100 years ago. But you just fall in love with the skill sets. Luol Dort with incredible bouncy dunks as a guy that's not that big, and you go, wow, it's fun to watch these kids play. And they've got Chet Holmgren now, and you watch these teams and you go, wow, I know all of their players because of Instagram. It gives you the chance that if they're in your news feed, you can build a following really quickly.
It's like that with the American Hockey League. Like you see a player or junior hockey, or watch a player in junior hockey, and then you're like following that player, AHL, then makes it to a show. You're like, I saw that guy play when he was in junior or
Yeah.
M18. Like that's what I love about sports. Like following players, like and community, and it's like we're one big family. Like you go to a game, you make friends. Like I made a lot of friends since the Tundras came to Montreal. Like more friends I made, and I
Well,
still
see,
think of them.
our goal is, we want, like we have an NBA guy that coaches in our league named Cliff Livingston that played with Michael Jordan and won a couple championships.
Yeah.
And when Cliff coached at Kokomo, he's now in Albuquerque. I'm sure he'll do the same thing. He didn't even take his kids to the locker room for 20 minutes after the game. He doesn't go in to talk about what, because we know we're going to talk to them sooner or later. They're not going anywhere. So they get done. At Kokomo, it's 50-50. They're going to be doing some line dance. If the DJ's still bumping the music, they'll be doing some line dance with the fans on the court.
Wow.
They're up there shaking hands, kissing babies, hugging people, taking photos. And it's funny, the same kids stand in line for autographs all 12 games.
Yeah.
Because it isn't that they want 12 sets of autographs, it's they want a chance to get close to their hero. The power of celebrity is so important. And we try to teach our young men that if you use it the right way, you can impact their lives, you can encourage them. And you should get to know these kids' names, because it's the same fans that come out every game, and they will be there forever. And there will be young men that will come back and look back and go, man, we used to have a team in our town called the Kokomo Bobcats. And man, my favorite player was Hawk, and Hawk was this and Hawk was that. And everybody will be going, who was Derek Hawthorne? Doesn't matter. He impacted that young person's world. And that's the power that our guys have.
Yeah. Plus Indiana, like it's a big basketball market, especially for high school basketball. Like
Yeah. We the 14 largest high school gyms in the world, 15 largest high school gyms in the world, 14 are in Indiana. Think about that.
I know, like ever since the movie Hickory or that
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers, yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, like when I watched that movie, I knew basketball is big in Indiana, especially at the high school stage.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember when we were playing good my junior and senior year, you couldn't get in the game for the varsity game if you didn't get to the start of the JV game. So by about midway through the JV game, we called it B team back then, which was the lower level. It was sold out. You couldn't get into the varsity game because it was. I mean, and we're talking 3,000 to 8,000 fans, depending on where you're going for a high school basketball game. I mean, and it was a neat era to grow up in it, because you got to experience a lot of cool things.
Yeah, and I know like Montreal, like Tundras, I don't know, but I think they like bring the players out in the lobby after games and they sign autographs for kids. And it's
They're
like
very good.
yeah, it's like the Kokomo Bobcats. Like it's the same fans that go again and again and again. And I know he wants to get more schools to come.
Yeah,
because
no,
it's just a new thing.
Juan Mendez, the TMO, is, he's a Montreal legend. I mean, he's the second leading scorer in Niagara University history, behind Calvin Murphy, who averaged 40 points a game. I mean, this is a guy that had a wonderful career at Niagara, played pro for a long time, big guy, but he's a sweetheart. He's tenderhearted,
Yes.
and he about his community, and that's what gets us excited to have people like that in our league.
Yeah, and I'm even trying to get the Montreal Tundras to like partner up with the Laval Rocket of the American Hockey League, affiliates of Montreal Canadiens, try and get the Tundra name out there more to the community, so more people could come watch the team, because it's still a product.
That's the Laval Rocket is they play in a great venue there in Laval, and they obviously they're in a wonderful family of pro sport, because between the Canadians and them, you've got two of the great history of tradition, and because the NBA G League, the AHL, the AAA baseball have all recently opted to get their teams closer to the parent team. So I think the Laval Rocket were actually in Newfoundland and came
Yes.
back playing. The arena got built because they're within a 40-minute drive, depending on traffic, for the coaches to scout. So you can practice with the varsity in the day and go play with the JV at night. It's the Raptors. I mean, when you look at when the Raptors got really good, was when they got their G League team.
Yes.
And they had Pascal Siakam, they had Fred VanVleet,
Yeah.
and they won the G League championship. And 2 years later, they won the NBA championship because they were developing these kids that may have never gotten the reps if they were just in the NBA the whole time. And God love Pascal and Fred because they embraced it. They went down and they took advantage of their opportunity to get better. Yeah. And that's not NBA's going. And where that's good for me is that's taking all these markets that they used to be in and they emptied it out. So there's no longer teams in Boise, Idaho. There's no longer G League. These markets all had D League teams. Bakersfield had a D League team, and Quad Cities, Iowa, and Rockford, Illinois, and Gary, Indiana, and all these markets used to have wonderful D League, G League, CBA type markets are now empty because the NBA wants them to be in the same basic market. So that's still good level, good opportunity, but it leaves all these other wonderful geographies open for us to look at for BSL or TBL ownerships.
Yeah, it's like Cleveland. Their team is in Canton, Ohio.
Not anymore.
No, Cleveland now they're in
Cleveland. Yeah, now they're playing. So, I mean, Canton is an hour from Cleveland. They wanted them closer. Now they're 15 minutes away because it just makes it so much easier to train the kids. And I mean, when you're in a G League team, you're part of the NBA organization now. It's a different deal. And they do a great job at that.
Like, do you ever see the TBL becoming like the East Coast for like the G League? Like, say a G League guy has to get sent down to a league under. Do you think the TBL will be a great league or the BSL for that player to develop to get back to the G League and hopefully go to the NBA?
I think that we would love to have a relationship officially or unofficially with the NBA, whether it's our referees getting trained to go there, whether it's some of our players or their players that need more reps. We would do anything they ask because we have a lot of respect for what they do, and there's so much credibility in everything that they do. We're looking heavy at a WBSL, a league that would be played in the summertime to complement the WNBA. There is no G League for the women. You look at I believe the WNBA is only allowed to carry 13 women on pay, and they have a hard salary cap. So, the Aces that just won, they only carry 9 ladies. Even though they could have 13, they only carry 9, so they have more money to spread them around the 9 girls, which means 4 girls that are good enough to play in the WNBA for women aren't getting that opportunity. So we could build a league that would complement what they do in the summertime. And now you're looking at our league will eventually, I think BSL will eventually get a little earlier, December, late November, and we'll be able to go from November through April, and then March through July to June with the TBL, and then with TBL, and then July through September with W product, and a lot of the same marketing synergies that we have in our corporate offices we can use to impact lives all the way around.
Well, anyways, I'm really looking forward for the season coming up, the 2024 season for both leagues, especially with Montreal Tundra, so all these new changes. I want to just thank you once again for being on the show with me today. It was an honor.
I love your passion. I love what you're accomplishing. Thank you. We're fortunate to have someone like you, interested in what we do and love the Montreal market. We just think it's going to be really big, and the ownership group up there is special. They're really wonderful people. So I'm just personally very, very fond of it. So au revoir, bonsoir, whatever I'm supposed to say. But I love the French piece of it. I don't speak it very good, but I sure love the fact of that too. So thank you all, and have a great night.
Yeah, and hopefully if you ever come to a juniors game, you let me know. Maybe one day I'll take you to Shorts as one of my favorite places for smoked meat.
Hey, dude, I've been there.
Oh,
I've been. It's like a deli, right?
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've been. The sandwiches are like so thick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I was there. Juan took me there, and it was. I'm hoping not. I'm trying to kill my appetite some, so I'm hoping not to eat like that anymore. I gotta get thinner. But yeah, it's a great place, that's for sure. But
It-
when I come, I'll make sure you know we can. I'll be at a game this year. We'll get to meet each other in person.
Oh, for sure. And you let me know, and I'll be there depending on the Little Rocket. Anyway, thank you so much, Juan. Anyways, fans, I hope you all enjoyed my podcast today. I mean, sorry, I called you Juan. I mean, Dave.
Okay, don't
Sorry
call
about
me
that.
late to dinner. I'm
Yeah, sorry. It's already like 10 o'clock here, so I'm a bit tired. Wait. Anyways, thank you so much, Dave, for being on the show,
all
and
right.
hopefully have.
Have a great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.